Hey there, I'm Kathy with the Traveling Homesteader, and today I'm outside to go harvesting with this. So 'tis the season for harvesting lavender and lemon balm. And I've done a lavender harvesting video previous to this, but I'll show you a little bit of that in a moment too. But today's job is mainly lemon balm. I'm going to show you how I harvest that and how I use it in a couple of different ways to help down the line. And it's going to be kind of fun. So the only tool that I really have right now is this. My little sickle is going to help me harvest my my lemon balm, and it's what I use to harvest my lavender as well. And I may put a link for it down below, just in case you want to check it out yourself. But come with me and help me harvest my lemon balm. So this is my big batch of lemon balm that I'm going to harvest now. And I'm not sure that it's the right time or the wrong time, but it's probably much farther, and I probably wouldn't have as good a product. But so the leaves are nice and bright, and they're kind of all nice and uniform green. If they're much different green in like showing that it was dead or dry, I probably wouldn't harvest it. So today is a perfect time to harvest it. So for today, this is the plant I'm going to cut using my little sickle. And when I open up my plant, you can kind of see down where the stems come up. And I'm just going to cut where the stems are just above the soil, so it allows the plant to regrow. And so when I do that, I just take my sickle and hold a bunch and saw off. And then I have a nice bundle of lemon balm. And from here, I can either immediately thread it or like keep it in the bunch. But or I could put it aside. I'm gonna put it aside for the time being so that I can cut off the rest of the plant to go show you what else we're gonna do for some other options for lemon balm. Okay, now that we're back with all my lemon balm, it smells wonderful. This is just the right scent for me. It's a nice, light, citrusy lemon smell, and it ended up being a lot more than I expected kind of thing. And as you could see when I was cutting it, it took very little effort with my sickle to get the lemon balm. And so now, just a couple things that I'm going to do is, I'm just going to kind of take a few pieces right off the bat. I say a few pieces, maybe an inch or so around, just enough for your thumb and finger to come together like that. And I'm going to put the rest down. I'm going to straighten I shouldn't say straighten, but I'm going to try to even up the stems from where I cut it. And now this is my first bunch that I'm going to dry. And all I'm going to do is take my craft wire. I'm just going to take my craft wire and twirl it around and create a little hook. The hook will allow me to hang it in a place so that I can just leave it alone. So I don't know how this wire is a small gauge. It's very strong, and it's what I've used on my wreaths. And I just take the end and wrap it and pull it as tight as I can, because you want to make sure that as this dries, that the wire will keep the stems together. So you can see how I've wrapped it right there. And then I'm just going to take the end, and I may do one more time just for extra measure. And then I'm just going to unwind it from the bobbin and simply twist the ends together. By doing that, it helps it hang all by its lonesome. So now that I have it so it can hang, I'm just going to twist off the bobbin end of the wire and make a little bit of a hook. And so by doing that, I can now hook this and let it dry as is. That's all I gotta do. Simple and easy, right? So as I hang that over here, you can see how I've hung it outside to dry. So as it dries, it's gonna start looking kind of yo. But for our purposes, that's just fine. Once it's hung and once it's dry, you can use it for several other things. I happen to be using it for tea that I'm gonna mix in with my lavender. This is the lavender that I've bunched up in a similar way. This happened to be, I used some twine with that. You can kind of see how I did something similar. And again, I'm just gonna hang this to dry with my lavender or with my lemon balm. And I'm gonna use these in combination with some mint that I have for some tea. Yeah, you heard it. You can make your own tea. And so just by drying some herbs simply like this and getting some tea bags online, you can make sure that you have some simple, easy tea to the flavoring that you want. You could have as whatever combination that you like using the herbs that you have. And they're simple and easy to grow and harvest. As you can see, to harvest it and hang that took me less than 10 minutes. So that's what I'm looking for. For this last part that we're gonna do, again, it's easy peasy. My thing lately has been ease. and we got so many things going on that we could probably do in our regular lives that easy, fun things on the side is kind of my speed. So for this last part, I'm just gonna simply open up my bucket with the lid and literally stuff the lemon balm in the bucket. And so I still have a fair amount of lemon balm, as you can see here, and I'm gonna leave just a fraction more to dry, but I'm gonna put in at least half of the lemon balm that I just harvested. And I'm gonna take them kind of piece by piece, not piece by piece, but section by section, and I will bend them over and kind of quasi-macerate. So I wanna make sure that their stems are bent and kind of able to have their oil drawn out of them. And the leaves also crunched a little bit. And by doing this, it's going to help the process of getting the important stuffs out of the plant. And so then I put in another batch and again, squish it. Kind of get your aggressions out on the plant. And I have some that fell over. But see, this is a nice example of what the lemon balm looks like. This is just one stem, and it's pretty nice and healthy, and you can see where there's even some flowers that came out for the bees, which I like. By the way, as a side note to my bees, the honey is about ready to be harvested. Yay! So now that we got all of our pieces, and if you want to just kind of get a better sight line of what I did, basically I just took the lemon balm and kind of broke it in half and switched it and just compressed it a bit. That's all. It's that easy. So now you may see in my bucket, it's pretty full. And you can kind of see where it sits with the shadow in my bucket. It's pretty much up to about here. So now I'm just gonna open up my liquor and pour it on in. And I'm gonna pour in enough to get at least to almost covered, if not all the way fully covered. And that's why I got 2 bottles, because I wasn't sure how much I'd actually need. And for this bucket, I wanna make sure that that's about as covered as I can get it. And that's all you do. Simply pour it all over, making sure that it just gets all what it needs. And it's pretty easy. You're kind of helping the lemon balm do its thing. Now, I was actually talking to the guy at the liquor store about this, and he had an idea. We were on slightly different wavelengths on this project. And what he said was actually rather interesting to me. His idea was to use this as a drink. And his idea was to be able to just take a handful of this lemon balm and kind of squish it up and let it percolate in the vodka for a little while, and then be able to come back and drink it. This is not, what I'm doing is not for a drink. Although you could use it, you could eat it, or you could drink it. This is going to be something that will be used maybe as a few drops, like on your tongue, or like under your tongue or in your mouth. But it's not something that you would go and like take swigs of it. This is to help medicinally with, and lemon balm is, I believe, and I'll have to make sure I say the right thing, and I'll put it down below too, but it's known to medicinally to help with anxiety, with anger, and so it's supposed to help you calm down. It's supposed to help you have less anxiety, and so that's kind of what I'm doing it for, is to help for the medicinal purposes rather than the drink purpose. Now this is feeling pretty good, and as you can see in our bucket, it's about this full. So I will go ahead and put in my other bottle, and I'm going to get some more of this for more lavender tincture that I'll be making. And so luckily I did this, and I was able to get the second bottle. And hopefully when I'm all done with this, we'll have some nice product. It is rather strong in the alcohol department. Just got wind of alcohol vapors. But yeah, so this is kind of how we're going with this. And as you can see, it's not that hard. It's now the next step is just the process, just sitting and waiting. Because once we're going to cover this up, it's going to be about, depending on the strength of the tincture that you want, you'll probably do it 2 to 4 weeks. And so you'll see it kind of change over that time, and then you'll filter it. Or at least I filtered mine when I've done mine. So we're going to help this along a little bit more. Okay, now that that's all finished, you may be able to see the liquid in the bucket here, and that's a hefty amount of liquid that we're going to have. So we want to make sure that it's kind of gets pushed down, and gets kind of soaked, as much opportunity to soak as possible. And so you can kind of again see, thankfully for the sun, you can see how I've pushed it down, and just plunk it in there. I'm just going to put on my cover, and I'm going to put it in a cool, dry, cool, darker place. So while this particular bucket is kind of opaque, you don't want to have too much sun focusing in on it to do its thing. So I'm going to put that aside for 2 to 4 weeks, and I'll check on that every so often to make sure that it's going along okay. So now that we've got our lemon balm hanging to dry, and we've got our lemon balm soaking for tincturing, I just wanted to point out, this is my final product of my lavender tincture that I made last year, and I keep it in this brown bottle, and it is a glass jar, and I keep it in this to help the essence of what the medicinal purpose, you might say, is for the lavender tincture, that it doesn't get harmed by the sun. So I would suggest that you store your lavender or lemon balm tinctures in a glass bottle. Now I will point out that this is that color, and even though I had done this last year, it still has that nice lavender smell. And so that's the kind of the benefit of doing this. You're preserving something like lavender or lemon balm, and you can have it the use of it for a long time down the road, even after the fact that you've dealt with it. Now, like I mentioned today, the lemon balm has a wonderful, fresh, fragrant scent after having cut it. Now imagine what it would smell like in tincture form. You can maintain it throughout the year, which is kind of nice. But you can also have it in things like tea, and that's why we're going to be combining it with other herbs like lavender and mint, so we can have a nice tea. So sometimes when we get thinking about what we can preserve, we can use things in different ways that maybe we hadn't thought about. Like, had you thought about making your own tea or some medicine for yourself? That's the kind of nice thing that I like to think about, so I can think about different things to help me just use what I have and use what I know, and learn more about kind of harvesting and growing things and making things that could be helpful in the long run. So I hope that this has helped you today in learning new ways to work with lemon balm, and hopefully you've found a way to preserve it that's helpful for you. And so thank you for coming to Gyroscope Farm and the Traveling Homesteader. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button down below, and I look forward to hearing from you what different thing that you may have harvested this week or preserved for your homestead or your home. And so maybe we can share and see what we all have in our pantry that we can maybe use for ourselves.